Acacia, what's going on?
Hey, JK. Happy to be here with you. I haven't seen you in forever.
Soon enough, soon enough. You're going to see too much of me. Um, but yes, it's been some time. I feel like it's been maybe a couple of months.
Yeah, yeah, I guess so. Because I think when you were in New York, I was down in Florida, so we missed each other.
Well, we'll be seeing more of each other. But before we
Yeah.
get to that exciting news, let's talk a little bit about domestic product, who you've been able to see kind of grow up from a 2 year old and then seeing him train down at Payson. From a development standpoint, what have you seen from domestic product?
Well, he's definitely a horse that's come along. I was not there the day of his Tampa Bay Derby win, but like you said, being based down at Payson Park, getting a chance to see him train, and actually right after his Tampa Bay Derby win, went by the barn. Chad Brown kind of pulled him out, him and Sierra Leone, and horses that were potentially on the Derby trail, and getting a chance to really kind of get a good look at them. And the first thing I said when he pulled out domestic product and being up close, watching him train and then being up close to a horse is a different thing too. And the first thing I said was, wow, he really has filled out and grown up. And Chad said, yeah, he really has. He's a horse that maybe took a little bit of time to kind of come to hand. He was 5-1 as a Chad Brown first time starter in his debut at Saratoga, which, as we know, is not necessarily typical, but turns out that he was actually in a very live debut race at Saratoga running behind Jess Steele. But I think he's improved as distances have come on. He has a bit of a tactical ability as well. And though the Tampa Bay Derby was kind of run like a turf race, I was impressed with the way that he finished that day. And I thought we've saw something from him that we had yet to see.
Yeah, you mentioned that Tampa Bay Derby being run a little bit like a turf race. And I think what you mean by that is that, kind of a little bit slow early. They just kind of sprint for home. And I think that has some figure makers feeling as if the figure might be a little bit low because, we've talked about that before when it comes to like, Usain Bolt walking out of the gate and then sprinting home. He's never going to run as fast as time, and figures being built on that final figure. It does make sense that if it was slow early, it could have been slow, a little bit slow, a little bit light on the number. What did you think of his performance overall in that race? Were you wowed by that, or were you a little bit underwhelmed by his performance?
There have actually only been two horses that I've been wowed by onto the Derby Trail, and that's Sierra Leone and Fierceness. And I think most people feel that way too. There's others that I think have potential and have some upside, but as far as saying wow, and really being impressed, those are the big two, and I think everybody knows that. As far as this horse, though, I actually was impressed with the performance because of the way that he finished. Yeah, it was slow. Yes, he sprinted home. Yes, he was second, kind of arguably running in place a little bit at the end in the Holy Bull. Fierceness didn't fire that day. We know Hades would go on to disappoint in his next couple of starts, but this is a horse that I think is improving. Now, what will he do stretching out to the mile and a quarter? That will be the question, but I like his running style. He is a horse, and I think that really benefited him in the Tampa Bay Derby too, that can kind of put himself in the right spot. You look at a horse like Sierra Leone who has some gait antics and can really drop very far back early on in the race. As we've seen in the Kentucky Derby, typically that's not the running style that is the most successful. And I think with a horse like Domestic Product, him even being able to grab a share, putting yourself in the right spot, being forwardly placed, using tactical speed to your advantage. That was what I really took away from the Tampa Bay Derby, and that'll serve him well going into the Kentucky Derby.
These mini pods are brought to you by Free Rein Coffee Company. They've been powering the In the Money team throughout the Triple Crown prep season, and the coffee is fantastic. Whether you're looking for whole beans, grounds, or pods, Free Rein give you what you need to get up and get after it. And they've got subscriptions available too, so you never run out. Use our promo code MONEY20 for a 20% discount site-wide over at freeraincoffee.com. $4 million. That's how much original ITM Plus subscribers and contributors have won at the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge over the last 5 years. ITM Plus is the place for our best Kentucky Derby information, including grid picks from the team, trip notes, and specific betting advice. Sign up today at inthemoneypodcast.com/plus.
Acacia, you obviously it's important when you're looking at these races. You want to look at these horses' physical. You want to look at their stamina and how it pertains to a horse that might or might not want to get a mile and a quarter. Before I ask you for your final answer on what you think of domestic product in the Derby, what do you think about him from a stamina physical standpoint?
Well, at first I wasn't quite sure because he's by Practical Joke, and Practical Joke is a horse that we found, they kind of like going the mile distance. But actually, I think Domestic Product is one that has benefited from stretching out at distances. His best races have come going longer, broke his maiden going a mile and an eighth, two turns at Aqueduct, one obviously the Tampa Bay Derby, ran well in the Holy Bowl. So he has shown that he can handle two turns. And from a physical perspective, he is a leggy type of individual. The way that he's grown up, the way that he's filled out, he's shown that he can handle it. Obviously, the mile and a quarter is the question for everybody going into the Kentucky Derby. And with his pedigree, it doesn't scream that distance. But I think already he's overcome the odds. And I think you have to take it on a horse by horse basis. I really fell into the trap a couple years ago with Authentic and saying he's by into mischief. I don't think he wants any part of the mile and a quarter. And obviously, he showed us all wrong because he had a physical that said that he was able to handle the distance. So I think you have to keep an open mind about it.
All right, feet to the fire. Does domestic product win the roses? Does he hit the superfecta, or is he a down the line type for you?
I don't know if he's fast enough. He would not be a horse that I would take as a win candidate, but I do think he's one that's getting better at the right time, and hopefully he can use that tactical running style to put him in the right spot and maybe grab a share.
Acacia, go get those nails done. I appreciate you.
Thank you.